Hello and welcome to episode 60. In this episode today, it's actually part 2 of a series where we are talking about getting really clear on your growth strategies for the next year ahead and also mapping out your high-level business plan. So if you haven't listened to episode 59, go back and listen to that first so you know exactly which of the 4 growth strategies you're going to be focusing on in the new year, and then come back and listen to this episode where we're going to break it down some more and get really clear on what it is we need, the help we need, who we need, what products we need, what sort of money, finances, cash flow we need in order to reach those goals. So today we are chatting all about your 2024 business plan for your online store. Now, we chatted about the 4 different growth strategies last week, so hopefully you have an idea of what they are. And then today what we're going to do is actually break it down into 4 different categories that I want you to look at and assess in your business. And I want you to do 2 things. I want you to look at how these 4 categories went this year and then what you'd like to happen in the new year. And these categories are, number 1, profit. Number 2, products. Number 3, promotions. And number 4, people. So let me break this down and explain exactly what I mean. And if you haven't already downloaded the workbook, grab it. If you go to jodiminto.com/freebies, you will find it on that page there. Print it out or have it open and be typing in as you listen to this, and feel free to re-listen to this as many times as you need to in order to make sure that you have a clear idea of where you're headed in the new year. So number 1 area I want you to look at is profit. Now, obviously, profit is different to revenue. So revenue is how many sales we bring in each year. So often when we talk, particularly for e-commerce businesses, if you hear like 7-figure business, they're talking about, more often than not, the revenue. So they've brought in $1 million plus revenue, i.e. sales, before all of their taxes and cost of goods sold and all those kind of expenses have come out. So what I want you to look at specifically is profit. How much percentage, once that year has been the calendar year or even the financial year, how much of a percentage of money left over was profit? To give you a bit of a benchmark here, and I know this might be really disheartening, I hope it's not, but a net profit for a 7-figure business, this is after you've paid your own salary, run all those things through your business that you might have, it might be internet, it might even be Foxtel, it might be the kids' phones, it might be your husband's phone, it might be a company car, all the things. When all of that's been subtracted from your revenue, the amount of money left and how much of that is as calculating that as a percentage as your net profit. So usually for a 7-figure business, this might look something like 10%. Now, I know that seems really low, and obviously it depends on how well you run your business as to how much that percentage actually is. So if you run your business it's really tight, you're really aware of expenses and costs and things like that, and you're not trying to deduct things to reduce your tax, then your net profit might be a lot more than that. Often with the smaller business where you might be a one-woman or one-man show, your net profit might look more like 20% or even 30%, but you'll probably find as you scale your sales, you'll get to a point where you need help and you just can't actually do it anymore. So obviously when you start hiring people, that's going to affect your net profit. So I want you to just get clear on what yours was from the previous year. And if you have to go to your accountant or your bookkeeper for clarity on that, I encourage you to do so because we need to know our numbers, right? So looking at what happened this year, what do you want to happen next year? Perhaps your net profit was 10% and you want to set a goal to try and reach 15%, and that might be looking at reducing expenses and things like that, and you can have that as a working goal. To have 15%, we need to then go back and go, right, well, how much revenue do I need to get? So I want you to do a bit of calculations around where you are now and where you want to head to, and use the workbook in order to go and flesh these out. If you use something like Xero, which I use, I love it, you can actually go to your profit and loss report inside of Xero, considering that, or assuming that you're actually been going in and allocating where your expenses sit. what you can actually do, you can export that as a Google Sheet or as an Excel spreadsheet and see exactly what your net profit dollar-wise is. And there's even an option in the settings, in the columns, to add a column as a percentage. So I want you to get clear on what your profit looks like. And in order to do that, you also need to get clear on what your revenue or your sales goals are. So once we've ticked that off the list, and I know that might take, a little while, and you might want to tackle these categories, on separate days to try and just give yourself time and space to really think about it and look at it from a realistic point of view. But then once you've figured out what your revenue goal is and your profit goal is, I want you to think about your products. What products are you actually going to need, and how many of them, in order to reach those sales goals? So there's no point setting ourselves a revenue or a profit goal that requires us to make $10 million in sales next year if that means you're going to then have to have $5 million worth of cash ready to invest in product if that's your profit margin, if it's 50%. So we want to make sure that we have got this aligned. How many products do we need? What sort of cash are we going to need to have access to in order to buy that inventory, in order to sell it? So I want you to break that down and have a look at exactly what that looks like. And again, this is where I want you to go back into the previous episode or back into your workbook and think about those products. What is your product strategy? Is it going to be around selling new products to your existing customers? So are you going to be doing some product development, or are you using your existing products and going and finding a new market via like the market penetration option? Perhaps there's opportunity to sell your products, your existing products, on other marketplaces or platforms, things like Etsy or eBay or Amazon even. So perhaps, there's different options around expanding your sales without having to reinvent the wheel when it comes to your products. So once we've figured out what our profit goal is and what that revenue goal looks like, and then the products we're going to need in order to hit that, we need to then look at promotions. So this is the marketing side of things. What key promotions or sales will you hold during the year? And I encourage you to create a promotional calendar. Plug in things like Black Friday, Boxing Day, end of financial year sales if you participate in those, and then perhaps any new product launches. So if you're developing new products, or even if you are bringing back old products, plugging into your calendar the marketing activities that will help promote and launch those products. And you might want to make sure you give yourself a bit of a runway. If you've got a new product launch, maybe you want to give yourself a 2-week runway as far as releasing teasers and things like that. Hey, something new is coming to your audience. Perhaps you want to have them sign up to a specific newsletter or database in order to let them know and let them be the first to know when those new products are live. So we need to also think about some special offers you might want to have up your sleeve when sales are slow. And I used to do this. And I used to do this in a couple of ways. First of all, I'd have some fairly sort of generic type offers for things like maybe it's free shipping for the next 48 hours, or a gift with purchase, or spend and save, or something like that, like 10% off or 20% off store-wide for 24 hours only. Something to have up your sleeve and have all of those discount codes and things ready to go, but not yet activated, in case sales are slow and you just need to bring in some cash. Maybe you've got a manufacturing bill and you're like, oh, I need some cash. So having a handful of these special offers you can have up your sleeve ready to fire. And then the second part of this particular strategy is to have all of those emails already designed and ready in your Klaviyo or whatever it is that you happen to use. So it's just a matter of going and activating that discount code in Shopify and then coming over to Klaviyo and then scheduling for the day that you want to send it. But these are really, really helpful. So think about all of those dates in your promotional calendar that are sort of set in stone: Black Friday, Boxing Day, end of financial year. Plug in your different product launches and perhaps promotions that you want to do around specific, I don't know, whatever you might happen to do. I know some of my clients do things like the 12 days of Christmas. So maybe you've got something like that. So plug all those in and then go back and set reminders, 2 weeks out or even a month out, to start working on those marketing assets, the emails, the Canva, graphs for social media, whatever it might be, the ads. But then also have a list of promotions you can have up your sleeve on those really slow sales days. Things like free shipping, flash sale, take another 20% off sale items only, something that's really all about urgency and scarcity, and we want them to take action straight away to try and clear down some of our inventory. Perhaps you're carrying too much inventory, and bringing in some cash. So that's the third thing. Now, the fourth thing, we've got all of these layers. See, there's a specific order that I want you to look at this by. We've got all of these layers, and now we get to people. Are you going to be able to actually achieve these goals and implement these strategies on your own? Or do you need someone to help? Perhaps it's a customer service person. Perhaps it's someone that's picking and packing your orders. You need to figure out, is this reasonable? Again, using the $10 million a year example, if you're a one woman or one man show right now, do you have the people and resources and help you need if all of a sudden you started doing $10 million in sales? I don't think that you would be able to pick and pack those orders and keep up with customer service and continue doing your marketing and your product development and your inventory management and your Shopify store management on your own. So if you have set yourself some big goals, think about what sort of people that are you going to need in order to help you do that. Often one of the first things I see people outsource is the picking and packing. So if you have a business that you run from home and all of your inventory is at home, that might look like getting in a mum or a teenager that's looking for a part-time job to come in, and even if it's like 3 times a week for a few hours to pick and pack orders. That's something that people like to outsource pretty early on in the piece, because once your business starts to scale, your time is probably not best spent picking and packing and wrapping orders. Another thing is then customer service. If you're continuing to scale, you might have a full-time person that is doing the picking and packing of the orders and things like inventory management, checking those stock levels and making sure it's aligned with what Shopify is saying, but also managing the customer service. And they might even then have scope in their week to do your Instagram scheduling, for example. So figuring out what that looks like for you, and whether that might be a contractor or a freelancer or a VA, or whether you need someone in person. Perhaps you are sick of having all of your inventory at home and it's time to look at third-party fulfillment or 3PL. I love third-party fulfillment. It's so great. Having all of that inventory, all of that stock out of your house is not only clearing space in your home, it's also clearing space in your mind, because often e-commerce business owners or product-based business owners are having to look at all of that stock on the shelves on any given day, and it feels quite stressful and feels quite heavy. Like, ugh. And if you have a partner that might walk past that stock room, maybe he might be on, or she might be on your case saying, "Hey, when are you going to start selling some of this stuff?" So third-party fulfillment, it might be worth having a look. It depends on your volume as to what you'll sort of pay and which providers will work with you, but you would be surprised at how easy it is to implement and how great it is, because then you can really have that kind of laptop style lifestyle business. You can go on holidays and not have to worry about who's picking and packing the orders. Somebody else is doing it at the third-party fulfillment warehouse. So it's a great thing. So thinking about these different types of support, people, services you might need in order to reach that goal, because I'm pretty sure if you've set yourself a really huge goal, if you want to double your sales or triple your sales, you're probably going to need some help. But part of people also looks like you. What do you want your day to look like? Do you want to be working yourself ragged every week? Do you want to be doing 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week? Or do you want to be doing part-time hours? Because depending on what you want your day to look like will determine on what sort of people or support you'll need. Also thinking about your salary. Are you in a position to pay yourself a salary? And if so, what does that look like? And I highly encourage you to do this, even if it's a minimum amount of money, even if you're just starting out, even if it's $100 a week that you pay yourself as an automatic debit. Obviously, you might chat with your accountant and your bookkeeper around the tax and things like that, how to set that up. But it's a energetic thing too, where what can happen is that we work a lot, and for many years in our business with no money to to show, and we become quite resentful. So even that $100 a week, even if it's just going into a holiday fund, it's like, no, it makes you kind of feel a bit more inclined to keep pushing on. So it's something that's really, really important. It sort of symbolizes, whether you're woo-woo or not, it's like, this business is a thing. I'm getting paid for my time, even if it's only a little bit right now. It's starting the ball rolling. And I had a case in Island Co where I was then hiring lots of different people, and someone came in and they were, an expert in their field, and we agreed on a salary, and then I sort of looked at it and thought, they're getting paid more than I am. And this is my business, and I'm working myself to the bone. And my accountant was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. You need to increase your salary. So just having a look around that as well. Is there scope to pay yourself? Are you paying other people more than you're paying yourself? Because if so, that's not really fair. So to recap, on the 4 different areas I want you to look at and map out using the worksheet, or create your own if you don't like that one in the freebie section. Map out your profit, so money. How much revenue, how much profit do you want to achieve in the new year? Then number 2, products. How many products do you need? Do you need to have new collections? If you're a fashion business, do you need to have 4, 6 collections a year, or monthly collections or drops? What does that look like? And what sort of cash do you need available or access to in order to make that happen? And then thirdly, we're going to look at promotions. So building your promotional calendar, and that's plugging in all of your different marketing dates and activities that you'll need in order to sell the product to meet those financial goals. And then fourthly, we are looking at people. What sort of help do you need, and what sort of days do you want to have in your business, and figuring out what that looks like and setting some goals around it. So I hope this 2-part series has been helpful to you. I hope it gives you a little bit of food for thought and a little bit of structure on figuring out what you want to do in the year ahead. And if you want my help implementing this, if you've got a business that's doing around 10K months revenue, my mastermind might be a really great fit. And in that mastermind is where you get lots and lots of my help, including one-on-one calls, and I can help you implement and keep you accountable to implement your business goals. Otherwise, I have eCommerce Academy, which would fit in under that sort of promotions section. It's all around using meta ads to scale your sales, and learning you and equipping you with the skills you need in order to DIY them yourself without having to pay an agency. And that's coming back in February. End of Feb, opening for enrollment. Please, if you're interested in that, do put your name on the wait list. You'll find that on my website, because it's capped at 30 people that can join, and I've already got 60 on the wait list. So make sure you get your name on the wait list so you're the first to know when enrollment opens for that. And other than that, if you're listening to this later, you might have missed it, but you can grab the replay on my freebies page. But I am hosting a free masterclass this week on scaling your sales with Facebook ads. It's my last free masterclass of the year. So if you're thinking about, is ads for me? I'm not really sure. How would I use ads? How much do I need to spend on ads? Grab your spot in that free live training, and I'll see you there. All right, that's it from me. Wishing you all the best for the end of year. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I will see you in 2024. Bye for now.